Too many faces you only see online. Too many cases of faking by design. Wake up every morning just to go right back to sleep.
Good morning everyone and welcome to We Film Things. I thought that this week I'd do a little bit of a week in my life as a creative small business owner slash freelancer. Since doing my career change videos, I've had a lot of questions about what it is that I do now. I basically launched a studio called Light Source Studio at the end of November. So I've been freelancing as a creative for a while. I've been doing various kinds of video and photography. I've been running Rina Sawayama's YouTube channel, which you should definitely go check out. She's got some amazing behind the scenes stuff and her music is really great. And I've also been doing graphic design work and a little bit of animation. And with the launch of my studio, I really wanted to expand the kind of graphic design and branding side of things, just because it's just something that I can do from my own home over Zoom with clients. It's not going to get cancelled because of any lockdowns or self-isolation, anything like that. Hopefully this will be somewhat interesting. I'll also talk about goal setting in this video. I know it's like a little bit late to do this at the start of February, but basically Jack and I got stuck in the Czech Republic for the majority of January, so I haven't really been that focused like on setting my goals and starting the year as I probably should. This Monday morning I've got quite a lot to do because, as I said, we've been away, and to add to that, our entire house has been rewired. Our house was an absolute mess. The heating hadn't been on for 3 weeks. We didn't expect to be gone for so long. There's still like residual dust everywhere that I'm just trying to like wipe surfaces as I go. So the first thing I'm going to do this morning is film some clips for one of my next videos, which is going to be a review of my new camera backpack. I've been looking for a camera backpack for so long, and I think I finally found the one. Right, I'm going to need this camera now. I hope this is going to work. This is a little bit of a spoiler, so I'll film that this morning before cracking on. Alright, so I'm all done with that. I've balanced my tripod like really precariously, jammed it in with like a craft box, another camera bag, and my bin. This is not the way to film things. It's about 11:30 and I have finally managed to get to my desk. I'm basically gonna go through my emails, make a list of everything that I'm gonna need to do this week, and allocate everything to a day and a time. Right, I've gotten through my first batch of emails this morning. I feel like I know what I'm doing roughly, vaguely this week, so I'm gonna grab some lunch. I've actually made a pot of stock. It's quite Asian, just like making pho for the week. A moment of truth. This guy has been on the hob since the morning. Yeah, looking good.
Too many places you only see online. Love yourself, you can be beat, but honesty is scary.
Okay, had lunch, got off a call with one of my clients. I'm on retainer with that client for 2 half days a month, so all of this afternoon is just devoted to them. I basically design their social media graphics and posts. So that will be pretty much the rest of my afternoon. Also, can I just point out how much joy randoms give me? They're the best. As you can tell, I've got the lights on now, so it's not quite as pretty in here. But I have just taken a break from client work to write a little article on Medium. I'm going to be writing about 2 topics mainly. One is career change and the other is creativity. And for me, they kind of link together because obviously my career change has been into a creative career. If you guys have come across We Film Things because you came through my career change videos, then you might want to check some of these blog posts out. I can't promise that they're all going to be brilliant, but they might answer some of your questions or give you some ideas. So I'll just leave a link in the description below and hopefully they'll come in handy. It's about 5:30 now and I'm just in the process of making a little Instagram post for my studio. I've just adjusted the text and done the lines in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm just gonna export the text bit into my Procreate and finish up in there. Hello, are you done working?
Never done unless there's a pandemic on.
Okay, that's our civil servant over here. I've, in the meantime, given up on jeans. Now I'm in my PJs. Are you ready for dinner?
Yes.
Hello friends! It is the evening now. We've had dinner. We watched an episode of The Queen's Gambit. It's about 9 p.m. and I am back at work. Just looking at Creative Market for some inspiration because they have some really great inspiration for like layout of social media posts. I do try to not work after dinner most days, but today I just have a lot to do. But I love what I do, so I'm not even bothered about it. And because it's creative and it's just like more right brain thinking, I can also like watch a YouTube video at the same time. It's quite chill. Good morning guys, it's Tuesday, it's about 9:30. I finally got into my desk. The real dreamy life of a homeowner is that we spent the whole of this morning trying to figure out why our washing machine is leaking, so there's some real glamour going on here. I have a call in half an hour with a designer who runs a studio, so I thought I would see what I can learn from her. I'm just doing like a Linktree equivalent on my website so that I don't have to do it through Linktree and I can just basically have the links hosted directly on my Lightsource Studio website. And I'm also on Slack today for one of my clients, which is a coding school here in Manchester, and I'm just online today to help students with any technical questions they might have for their videos, for their final projects. You can see behind me that I had set everything up to film my goal setting segment of this video, and then the electricity turned out. As I said, very real and glamorous life of homeowning at the moment. We've just had the whole house rewired and there's still just some teething issues. There's something that's flipping the switch. We just can't figure out what it is. I am just having some lovely little pasta. It's nothing too exciting, but in the circumstances it's all I could muster. Right guys, I've just done a little bit of a workout. I needed to make myself feel better, to be honest. After today it was a little bit of a fail. The electricity went out a few more times. We've been running around trying to like figure out what the issue is, but it means I didn't get to do all of the things that I wanted. I ended up just designing social media posts for some of my clients, writing my article on Medium, doing my own Instagram design for tomorrow. I think we're just gonna spend the evening doing admin, eating, and then going to sleep, so nothing exciting here. I will probably check in with you tomorrow. Right guys, it's Wednesday morning and I thought I'd talk to you about goal setting finally. So the reason I want to talk about this is because it's a skill that I have really honed, well I've had to hone, and dare I say I've mastered over the past year and a half of self-employment. I think it's something that you have to be particularly good at if you are doing something that is self-initiated, whether that's working for yourself full-time or a hobby or a skill that you want to get good at. If you're working in employment, then your goals are kind of set for you. They're there to serve kind of two purposes. The first is as a motivation factor. So this could be pleasing the client, pleasing the boss, meeting your targets, and ultimately career progression. The second purpose is to kind of guide your decision making and your time allocation. The more important goals are the ones that you're going to spend more time on. For example, your sales targets. So when we're trying to achieve things outside of that framework that's created by someone else, we also have to create our own framework for those kinds of motivations and time allocation. And goal setting is a huge part of that, and if done right, it can really help you get to where you want to get to. So with that in mind, this is my goal setting system, and it's something that I've found to really work for me. I've been fine-tuning it over the past couple of years. When I stick to it is when I am at my most effective. So I do all of my goal setting in Notion, which is a desktop and an online app. This isn't a sponsored video, I wish. For me, as someone who works quite logically and who likes things to be nice and visual, it's kind of perfect. So my system is kind of two-pronged. The first prong is that I set a limited number of goals for the year, and the second prong is that I also do quarterly goals, which are derived from those annual goals. I've found doing things in quarters or 3-month chunks to be particularly effective. It's a sufficiently short period of time for you to remain on top of your goals, but it's a long enough period of time for you to actually achieve something as opposed to like a week. Okay, so on to setting your goals for the year. For me, I like to have one top goal, which is kind of like an overarching theme, you might say. Then I like to have up to 3 sub goals. I want to keep my annual goals really limited to a small number of things. I find that if you set too many goals, then you kind of lose focus. You don't know where to allocate your time effectively. Indecision just like doesn't breed productivity. So an example is that you might set health as like your top goal or your like theme, and then your sub goals might be to adjust your diet to a healthy diet, and then a second one might be to train for a marathon or something. These are the kinds of like sub goals that relate to your top goal. They might not all relate to your top goal. I've definitely got an outlier, but it does help when the goals are kind of focused. So my overarching goal, as I said, is more of a theme this year, so it's creativity. I just want to be more creative in everything I do, in my work time and in my spare time. Obviously I run a creative business running my studio, but then also it's stuff I really enjoy, so I just want to do more creative things and bring that into like every element of my life. And then I've got 3 sub goals. The first is to grow my studio. The second is consistent output. I struggle with consistency a little bit. I'm very good at being consistent for my clients, but not that good at being consistent for myself. That's both with like putting out videos on YouTube or just like having a consistent creative practice. And then my last one is the outlier. So Jack and I got engaged last September. My goal and his goal this year is to plan our wedding. I mean, it shouldn't really be on anybody's list of goals, but like it's not something either of us particularly enjoys. So I've had to put it there just so that it's something that I remember to focus on. Now that you've picked your top goals and your 3 sub goals, then for each goal it's really important to decide on how you will know that you've actually achieved it. You'll notice that some of my goals are quite non-specific. Like for example, to grow my studio, what does that actually mean? So what I actually want to grow is my client base, my following on social media, and my revenue. And then for each quarter I will set specific targets in relation to each of those, which brings us onto the second prong of this goal setting process, and that is the quarterly goal setting. For each quarter I review what my annual goals are, and then for each one I set sub goals. Now these goals need to be really specific. They need to be SMART goals, which means that you actually have more goals for each quarter than you have for the whole year, but they're ones that you can actually tick off. So for example, going back to my studio goal with growing a social media following, in Q1 I will have setting up a tool like Later for automatic posting, scheduling content for 30 days in advance, things like that that I can check off really easily, and that will help me get to where I want to get to with each goal. Then put a reminder in your diary for when each quarter is done. So at the end of March, I'll do a first quarter goal review. Aside from setting my goals for the next quarter, I also review how I did in the last quarter, what worked, what didn't, what I want to bring forward, and what I want to leave behind. And the last but most important step of this entire goal setting process is that every single Monday I look at my quarterly goals and see how I can translate some of those into tasks for that week. I like to set top 3 priorities for the week. When I stick to them is when I make actual progress on my annual goal. But yeah, that last step is actually super important because it ensures that you don't do that thing where, you know, you've got all the energy at the start of the year and then by February you've kind of forgotten what your goals are. So reviewing them every single Monday and also just seeing if they're still relevant to what you want to achieve. If not, you can adjust them. I know, crazy, is super handy and it keeps you on top of things. Last year I managed to stick to all of my goals, but I do have to confess that there were periods when I forgot to stick to my own goal setting process, especially in the middle of the year. So at the start of the year I'm really good, and then towards the end of the year when I get the fear of like not having achieved anything that year, then I get good again. I really want to get ahead of myself this year. I had a call earlier with my accountability partner. It's something I really recommend doing if you are self-employed or if you're working on a self-initiated project, is get somebody else to hold you accountable to your goals on a weekly basis. We share what our top 3 priorities for that week are, and then the following week we kind of review how the previous week went and again set those goals together, and I find it really helpful. I always feel a little bit more like energized about my goals. Hello, we we have ourselves a Friday morning. Good morning to you. Yesterday didn't go to plan because basically the electricity in our house kept going out and we found ourselves in a dark and very cold house, so we had to call the electricians again, and they actually have sorted everything out this time, so we're back in a working house. But it meant that basically I couldn't do any work after my laptop ran out of batteries. I ended up working in the evening and just like didn't really think about vlogging at all. But it's Friday morning and we are back on hopefully the productivity curve. Got myself a smoothie to kick off, and we have some client design work to do this morning. I'm doing the brand strategy and identity for one of my clients, an online community and luxury product curation platform. We've already decided on the logo, and now I'm doing kind of the color scheme, the typography and the assets. But before my call, which is in the afternoon with her, I just need to pull together the assets that we're going to go through. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for the morning.
I spent the rest of the day designing, on calls, and finished off with a Zoom yoga class, as you do these days, and I of course forgot to sign off. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little insight into a not too typical work week for me, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, thanks, bye!